What is up, fellers? I am going to be breaking down Merab Devalashvili versus Petr Yan 1. And I am doing this to further add to my case as to why I think that Petr Yan can win a rematch. I'll be breaking down things that Merab did right, but also things that Yan did right, and why certain things happened in the fight, how certain things happened in the fight, etc. Now, this is a voiceover, as I messed up the first time I recorded it, so I don't know when I actually start the fight video. Boo, boo. There we go. You notice how Petr Yan immediately just goes in, man. Just goes in. And it's not good. It's not good. You can't immediately start pressuring Merab. I think current Petr Yan is smarter than this Petr Yan, man. I really do. Look how jittery Merab is. Look at that. He's going backwards, and he's going forwards, and he's going backwards. He's coming forwards, and then he's shooting. And Petr defends. Petr defends. What Merab needs to do, what he had success doing. And what he had success doing in this fight is chain wrestling, but the simple singles and the doubles. Without chain wrestling, Merab's going to defend. That's why he defended the majority of his takedowns. And then you see Merab here, trying to manage the void, manage the space. Merab's striking then, very unpredictable. It's a little more predictable now. He's got a little bit more of a game plan on the feet. But then, he would just kind of mix it up and see different things. And he would do all sorts of different things, like in terms of strikes and combos he would throw, and in terms of what he would do technically, in terms of footwork and whatnot, and try and find setups, or less find them and more force them. Look at these takedowns. Look at how vicious they are. See how he turned over and he stayed on that takedown. It's part of why Petr was able to defend it. Now, if it's a normal person, most fighters, they're not going to be able to defend that. And, continuing the chain is good. And the chain wrestling is what helped him. But also, with chain wrestling, sometimes you got to know when to let go. And then the other guy might fall on their ass. And that's something that Merab had success with in this fight. Right, and you can even see on the feet, he's having success. Right, he's spinning back, he's throwing straights. He's throwing body kicks, and he's giving Petr Yan all sorts of mixed signals. And Petr Yan, going into this fight, had a really bad arm injury. Right? And, he did not look himself. He was a lot lower output, and he looked like he was hurt. And he was here. You can see Merab, he's got that front headlock here at the end of the round. He likes doing this a lot towards the end of the round, just holding and squeezing, just kind of exhausting you while just, getting... throwing some knees here and there for output. Petr is trying to, punch the thigh, and, there's a nice knee right to the body from Merab right at the end of that round there. And here we got round two immediately, close that space and on that close outside calf kick that he likes. I forgot how much I rewinded, and I don't remember exactly what I rewinded for. I think it's to talk about just that. I just forgot to talk about it the first time. But you can see here, Yan knows he's gotta make something happen in this round, and Merab sees that and immediately goes in on the takedown as soon as he sees Yan being active. Oh, you're gonna be active on the feet? No, let's take it back to the ground. Now I'm pressuring you. Now I'm throwing an elbow, and now we're circling back out. And Yan throws that nice outside low kick that he does, with a nice high guard. And when he's got that high guard, it seems that, even in this fight, Merab knew better not to, come at him after the, throws an outside low kick, because that's how Petr, sets up his counters a lot of times, going first and third. And it throws a low kick, and then he baits you, and then he comes back first and third. And then Devalashvili with the activity here. with that blast double, man. That blast double was nice. As I said, blast double was nice. He's got good head. He's got decent head positioning here, and he's kind of doing what the Dagestanis do, how they like hook their legs around the other guy's legs a little bit. Well, no, not really. He was kind of more just kind of keeping that was it a 3/4 mount position? Either way, the back of the feet. Petr Yan here, you see him trying to dig to the body because he wants to try and at least wear Merab out a little bit, and he wants to try and stop him in his tracks. But I don't think that the body shots were the way to go. I think that he should have been throwing more of those low kicks because those were affecting Merab when he was throwing them. But man, in this fight, Peter was seeming hesitant, and he seemed like he was hurt, but like his heart was still in it. Unlike a lot of guys who Merab is able to demoralize, even though Peter is like getting beat up throughout a lot of the fight, he doesn't get demoralized in this fight. I paused a lot. I'm sure I was pausing to do technical breakdowns. Oh yes, I know what I was doing. I was showing how Peter he caught the oh geez, now I can't rewind. But Peter caught the fucking the kick because their feet were lined up. Their front foot was lined up with the other guy's front foot, and Merab made the mistake of just immediately stepping in without like really changing his foot positioning and through the body kick. And Peter knew that he wasn't, Merab doesn't make the smartest striking decision, so he kind of baited the body kick and left his body open. And then went for that takedown, and then you could see how Peter had very, very smart head positioning there, how he was on the ground, and now you can see his very good head positioning here. But he kind of overcommits to it, and purposely overcommits to it to force an escape, how he like bends his back all over like that and overextends. See here? But then you can also see Devalashvili immediately, he can feel that, and so he like kicks out that leg so that Peter isn't able to fully exit into distance, and he's able to stay on him. See? Then he throws it too. Switches back to orthodox. Throws a body kick and like has a high guard. Throws a high guard up. Wow, why did I skip around so much? Peter, he throws that inside low kick. He should have been throwing those low kicks a little more. See, and he's able to, mix those low kicks well into all sorts of different exchanges. But you can also see how, Merab will, go for things, and Peter's able to see a lot of things coming, man. That's probably why he was able to reverse that takedown and get Merab down. He was able to get his takedowns here and then on Merab in this fight because Peter can do it all. He can do it all, man. Even with one arm, this guy is able to defend all these takedowns from Merab. Man, I thought he was grabbing the cage there, but he wasn't. He wasn't grabbing the cage. Well, he was like putting his hand there, but it wasn't interlocking fingers. But see how Merab really dives in, like just kind of dives into the clinch, but rather than like diving upper body like he sometimes does, or like some other guys make the weird mistake of doing. He dives like not on the legs, but he dives right on the hips, so he can get up against the cage and throw these knees to the thigh that he likes, that work well against every opponent. They don't necessarily hurt that much, but they build up over time, and they exhaust the legs, and sometimes they'll just keep they could help keep the fighter in that position because they're worried, their legs are getting, the back of the thighs getting cooked, but they could also can force them into desperately escaping because of that same reason. But you see how Merab, even though chain wrestling is what won this fight, overcommitted. When he overcommits to the scramble and keeps going, Petr Yan is able to keep up. he's able to keep up and he doesn't gas out like a lot of other guys would, and he's able to scramble with him. You see when when Merab, he goes to the single, and then he switches off, and then he almost gets a headlock there, and then he keeps that. But then you see throughout that exchange, Peter was able to push away. But then Peter, he overextends on throwing that lead hook, on throwing that 3. That's why I think it was his left. It was probably his left arm that was injured, because usually his hooks and his strikes in general are a lot tighter than that. Whereas in this fight, it was a little, it was sloppier than normal, and he was whiffing a lot, whiffing in ways that Yan doesn't generally whiff. See there, at range now, and they're managing the void, and this is good. This is good for Peter here, because about technically, as you see that that exchange there, I did rewind. See, he throws that uppercut, and Merab overcommits to slipping all the way on that right side and dives, and because Peter tries to go 6-3, and that 3 just whiffs over the top, making Peter overcommit down to that side, and then Merab comes up and hits him with a hook of his own. Boom, boom. The 4. Right? It's funky shit like that Merab is able to make work. But the thing is, he doesn't necessarily do funkier stuff like that anymore. He's got more of a proper striking style now that Peter will be able to predict more what he's doing. And it's not like as funky. It's still wild, but it's more of a style, and it's something that Peter will be able to see, and in a way that Peter has already dealt with, because it's a more evolved style of what Merab had in say this fight. And it's better. It's a better style, but at the same time, it's that Merab has now is a better style than then. But the thing is, they're both better. They've both gotten better since then, and I do think this was an off night for Peter. But it's not to take away from Merab. This is easily Merab's best win of his career, to be able to, on a lot of occasions and rounds, be able to outstrike Petr Yan the way he did and outgrapple him. Incredibly impressive. I think I'm a guy that thinks that these are the 2 greatest bantamweight fighters of all time, and this is one of my favorite, probably my favorite dominant bantamweight decision fight. If that makes any sense, it probably doesn't. But I really like this fight. I like the technical aspects of this fight, and I like breaking down the things that Merab is doing right. That kind of seem funky, but he's able to make them work. And you see, he even I don't know why I skipped over that. But man, Yan is able to to grapple with him. That's a mistake that that a lot of Merab's opponents make, that they don't grapple with him. They try and stay away. Peter doesn't try to stay away. He's fine at fighting everywhere. Just like Merab is fine at fighting everywhere. But I think in this fight, I think Merab will be more desperate to grapple when Peter has success on the feet, but at the same time he'll want to sling more on the feet, because he's been striking more, recently, Merab in his fights, and I think I want to show off his striking again. And I think when he's gonna need to grapple, it's gonna be too desperate, because he's not gonna have the same calm lightheartedness that he normally does. Because you also got to take into account that he was kind of humiliated and embarrassed at the press conference. It wasn't like complicated personal shit, but it was simple shit. But the thing is, Merab's kind of, no offense, he's a dumb guy, and it's not hard to confuse him. And the dude just, he seems pissed off from the fucking wake up, but not even pissed off. He just doesn't seem to want to be there. He's as much, enthusiasm isn't there as much, and I'm purposely micro analyzing every little thing, because that's what you have to do when you're breaking down fighters at the highest level. You have to micro analyze the small shit, because it adds up. It adds up into legitimate reasons to pick against someone. Small thing on top of small thing on top of small thing. That's how it is for this fight, because there's very good reason to pick Merab. A large part and due to the dominance in this fight, even on the feet. But there's factors that you have to take into account. Man, look at how look at the spacing of Merab. Merab's footwork is underrated. I know he's jittery and he's moving about, but when he is going in, he has good movement, like coming in and coming forward. Where we'll go like a jab, and then he'll go 4, then we'll come back for a jab, and then a jab 3, and you see how he really likes ducking his head off to the other way. And then takedown. And Merab, rather than combination done, Merab likes sequences. I go from this thing to that thing. It's not necessarily I'll throw this punch, that punch, this, but I'll throw this punch and then go this way and throwing this punch, and then here throwing this and then doing this and shooting this, and it's like in the gym they say that Merab doesn't do a lot of the technique stuff anymore. He just spars. He just fucking spars, right? And it seems that he runs rather than specific techniques. It's sequences. Right? Technique after technique after technique. That's why he's got a lot of shit in his arsenal. And it's not super duper elite, a lot of what he does on the feet. It is, of course, great. He's an elite level mixed martial artist. But the thing is, he just knows a lot of shit, and he uses it, but not necessarily in the best way. But I think the sloppiness of this Merab is more frustrating than Peter, than the more refined version of Merab that we have now, with also a more, I'll say, confident Peter that we have now, rather than Peter in the context of whole bullshit with the Aljo situation. Then Razor close fight with Aljo where he arguably could have won and he lost it. And I think it was either right after this or right before this where he got robbed by O'Malley. I think it was right after this. But, it's just certain situations. And I know it does sound kind of like Petr Yan Cope, but this is a video of me, even going into okay, yeah, did he get dominated in the first fight? Yes. But you have to... But, this is a video that's dedicated to seeing... To telling guys why I believe that Yan is going to be able to win. Man, look at that face. Look at that face. It's the face of a man who's getting his ass beat. But at the same time, here, Peter doesn't lose his cool. He doesn't lose his cool, and he's not demoralized. And look at that beautiful fucking way that he's pushing down Merab's hands right there, pushing down the grips, and bending over like he did early in round 2. Bending over like that, and Merab doesn't have the angle to kick out, so then Peter's able to maintain space, get back into space. Right? And Peter's not demoralized here. He's not super gassed out. He's breathing, yeah. But in a way, he's able to keep up with Merab, even though he's getting dominated. It's not like Peter is slowing down in terms of what he's doing. He's been low output the whole time. He's not really slowing down here, and he even has moments in round 5. It's still a Merab round. Every round in this fight was a Merab round. The way Merab was mixing it up. But the takedown defense on display is insane. But Merab has a lot of takedowns, and he has multiple ways of finishing takedowns that he's able to mix it up, and as I said before, he's able to stay, especially then, unpredictable. But still like Petr Yan is able to defend a lot of those. Still able to defend the majority of Merab's takedowns, and even here in round 5, he's still able to defend on the feet and defend on the ground, and even do fucking crazy shit like that. Like, oh, you're coming forward, I'm fucking spin out as a fucking defense. Peter, he still got the craftiness in round 5. The crafty threat. Merab's got the wild man's threat. The wild man's unpredictableness, and Yan's got crafty man's technical tricks up my sleeve. But man, look at that shit. I'm pretty sure I rewound that back. And I say look at that because Merab, rather than he realizes that Peter has kind of worked out the whole chain wrestling thing, and he's able to make it so that he's able to get up against the fence and then eventually get out of the grappling exchange with Merab, and he's able to scramble with him. But Merab, he's able to pick up on that, and when he has that single and Peter turns out rather than following up, he just lets go and jumps on his back. Very, very nice work from Merab there. And then you see Merab's positioning with his feet here on the ground for control are I was gonna say, they're good, but the thing is Merab is not able to hold Peter down. He's not sprawling out on top of him, behind him or in front of him when he's on top like that. And he constantly he'll go to that headlock. He is unpredictable, but in terms of what he does when he's on the ground, there are things that he likes. He likes going to that headlock, and when he's kind of got the back, but he doesn't have the hooks, he just kind of trails behind you rather than circling around. He kind of trails behind you and scrambles with you till he's able to get on top. He's really digging those knee to the thighs here, but then you see Petr Yan, boom, really nice foot to the back calf. And then man, that was really nice. That was really nice. And then shot reshot. Merab's done that multiple times throughout the fight. Shot reshot, but a lot of what Merab does is a lot of people the shot reshot is they fail a shot and then they shoot. He gets the shot, the other guy gets up and then he shoots. But dude, look at that then there. Look at that sequence. Good performance from Merab. Yeah, but Merab whiffs on every single one of these strikes in the last exchange. And Merab's been liking throwing even more like this now. This is more of his style. He'll throw, not necessarily like this, but he's more willing to be a dog and go for it and go for those harder shots in the pocket. But when you do that with Petr Yan, boom, even just that one shot he landed, bloodied his nose up all the more, man. And yeah, that's that fight broken down. So this is part 1. Next up will be Petr Yan versus... It'll be a compilation between Petr Yan versus Song Yadong, Figgy, and McGee.